I'm Woody, welcome back to the Cumbrian Homestead. A job that I really need to get done now is to get these grafted apple trees potted up. So let's get on with it. To make the potting mix, firstly I'm going to put in some of the municipal compost. Next, I'm going to add some riddled garden soil. Next, we're going to add some vermiculite. Then, in addition to that, I'm going to add some growmar, as it's called in the UK. This is NPK at the ratio of 7:7:7. Then we just need to get that mixed in. Now we'll go and get the buckets. So in a previous video I showed you this type of buckets like from a supermarket, and I've pre-drilled them using a 10mm drill bit to make sure there's drainage holes in the bottom. So they'll be more than adequate. So if we start with the ones in the white bucket, they're Rootstock M26. And I'll show you an example of the size of tree that produces in a few moments. Let's just get those out of the pot. Actually, it's funny I should choose this one to start with, because it's the only graft I'm thinking out of the whole lot that's failed. But if you can see, I'm hoping this is coming across on the camera, there's the grafting point here where the tape is. So this was the scion, and there's nothing coming from that at all. So all this foliage is coming from the rootstock. So all I want to do just at the moment, because I've got a plan actually for this, so all I'm going to do at the moment is just remove some of the lower growths. To about 3. Okay, so now we've got one here, one there. In fact, there's 2 coming out of that one, so I'll remove one of those. And there's 2 coming out of that one, so I'll remove one of those. If you can, I'm trying to show you what I'm doing here, but it's difficult to. So with 1, 2, 3 left. So I'm going to use this one to try and do another family tree, multi-grafted tree. So now we'll just pop that up. Bucket. That looks about alright. We want to make sure that obviously the root system is well covered, but also to allow about an inch at the top for drainage and things like that. Just lightly firm it down, give it a bit of a shake. You see there's a little bit of root there, so again just add a little bit more just to make sure that that's covered. That should be about right. Right, there we are then, that's the first one. So let's try another one. Okay, so you can see that there's growth coming right down from the base. Here's the grafting point. So this is the scion. So this is the growth of the variety that we want. In this case it's a cider apple Harry Masters Jersey, so we've got two nice shoots coming from there. So I'm going to remove all these shoots on the rootstock, otherwise they would potentially interfere with the growth of the scion, which obviously that's not the object. At this stage they're quite easy to remove, and if anything grows back just keep gently trimming it off. That one's under the label. Okay, so I'll get that potted up. Just a thought with this one, it's got some long roots on which might interfere with how it sits in the pot. You can see these quite long roots here, so I'm just going to take those off because it's got plenty of these long fine fibrous roots, so that won't hurt it at all. So we're potted up. The only other thing I'm going to do is just remove this label here, which is like masking tape or something I used. It's the only I had available. And I've got a plastic waterproof label here with the variety on and the rootstock size M26. I'll just pop that round. I think it'll go any tighter, but that'll do for now. It'll be alright. Again, it's really important that you label stuff, otherwise you're bound to forget what it is. So that's our M26 potted up. We've got 7 out of 9. So as I say, the 2 at the far end there, I found another one actually that I hadn't taken. But like I said earlier, one of them I'll use for a family tree. I might do both, but it just gives you options. So the rootstock is certainly alive, it's just the graft that didn't take. So that'll be the subject of another video later on. So I'm going to clean up, have a brew, and then we'll get started on the MM106. But before I do that, I'll just show you the size of the M26. So this row of trees here in blossom, beautiful looking I must say. They're all cider apple varieties, and I've kept them around about between 6 and 7 foot high. They would grow potentially anywhere between 10 and 12 foot. There's variables, of course, it depends on your soil conditions, on your climate, things like that. But that's just to give you an idea of the size of an M26. On this row here, the cordons, they're on M9, which is a smaller rootstock. Right, well that's them all done apart from this last one, which I'm going to show you in just a second. So I've had 100% success with the MM106. Like I said, 2 fails on the M26. Now this last 106, I had about 3 from my own rootstocks which I dug up. This was the worst one, if you like. It had the least portion of root on. Now as you can see, it has actually, this is the scion here. This growth is coming from the rootstock. You can see that it's below the grafting point, but because it's possible that it's just using the sap that's in the stem rather than drawing from the root, so rather than remove that shoot, I'm just going to take the tip out like that, just pinch it back and hope that that will allow more sap to come up into the scion growth. And then also the hope is that it'll start to throw some little shoots out from the root here. So I'll pot that up and we'll obviously come back to that in due course. So having looked at the success, let's have a look at the fails. Now these 3 trees in this trug here on M26 I think it was, they're my own stocks, but the grafts didn't work last year, so I re-grafted them this March, and they were in the greenhouse. And I don't know if you can see this in the shot here, but you see the difference in colour there. You can see that the buds emerged, they started to grow, and then it's died back. And I think what happened was there was a few really warm days, the few that we had, and I think the sap was just pumping up here, but the graft union wasn't healed, of course, so they just bled basically. And yeah, I think that's what's happened. It's just bled to death, if you will. I mean, it's not a question, you look at the root mass on that, so it's nothing to do with root failure or anything. If we just do a little bark test, you can see that that should be bright green. So that's what's happened to all of them in there. This was the same, this one. Again, you can see it's brown, there's no sap in there at all. This one here, this was a family tree that I was trying to grow for Nigel, Muddy Boots, and I think the same thing happened. Once again, if you look here, you can see it's brown because it's got no top growth, so once the sap's exhausted in here, there's nothing from the top. You know, if that was in leaf, it'd be able to photosynthesize and bring nutrients back down to the roots, but sadly that's not the case. So the 2 trees that I have on M26, I'll just swing the camera around, those 2 at the far end there, those stocks are really healthy, so what I'll probably do is I'll try again next year and do a family tree with those. So swinging back round, the last 2 I want to show you. So this little one, that's on an M106, and again it's got absolutely piles of roots, so that it's not an issue about roots. We can see that the stock, this part here, is very much alive. It did start to the scion did start to throw buds out, but they don't look healthy to me at all. I think the frost has actually nipped this. So the plan for this one is to just cut that back and try a bud graft later in July. So that's that one. And then this one here is a plum graft on pixie rootstock. It's a dwarfing rootstock, and that tree's actually in this would have been its 3rd year, and it had actually started to bud. The buds were opening out about probably end of March, I think, so yeah, late March, something like that. It was starting to, there was flower buds coming, I could see, and green leaf coming, and then during all these frosts in April, I think it's just killed it basically. Again, you can see the telltale signs there. That should be bright green. It's dead. So unfortunately that's a casualty. I couldn't really do anything about it. That was outside, it wasn't in the greenhouse. And I know that a neighbour's plum trees died as well, and that was a mature tree. So, and I've heard somebody else's lost one. So I'm thinking that it's just been an exceptionally cold April and early May that's unfortunately seen that off. So all in all, it's been a good morning. I'm very pleased with the way that the grafting's gone. And if you're interested in grafting, or perhaps you're new to the subject or you've never done any grafts before, I'll put a link up somewhere up here that'll take you to my playlist on grafting. There's quite a few videos on that you might be interested in. So if you found this video helpful, or you've just liked the content, please give me a big thumbs up. Why not consider subscribing to the channel. Bye for now.